We talked about it last week, and it's taken us less than a week to put it together.
2 men that are determined to do something special, to bring some more knowledge and education to our kids and our parents.
And that's key, Corey. You've been through a lot of things. You know, we've interviewed, we've talked, we've known each other for a long time. You've been through a lot of things yourself. And when God gives you these situations, He gives it for you to help somebody else.
You know, first I want to thank you. I brought this to your mind and to a vision over to you last week, and you jumped right on it. You had to take a trip, and I hope your trip was fine. I to see your family and to see your Browns, even though they lost.
Sure did.
We lose a lot of Browns, considering I played for the Browns.
That's right. Our
so
Browns.
We lost last week, but you're back home safe in Tallahassee, Florida, and you talked about doing this, and we're doing it now. We're going to do this every week too, y'all. Every week, 4:30, we're going to be live. CNC, you can't miss us.
See, one thing about it, we'll talk about anything that's going on. I mean, high school, pros, college, things going on here in the area, things that affect you. Now, one thing about the show, because we go on Facebook and YouTube, it goes everywhere. So there's a lot of topics and discussions and things that we talk about, and especially Corey, who shared so many things at different levels that will hit some of you. And if you're honest, they'll hit a lot of you.
Yeah, I try to be real with my kids that I'm raising, my own blood kids. I try to be real with the kids that I coach. I try to be real with parents and realistic where their child is at and what they're trying to do in their life. I've had a lot of life experiences, some good, some great, some bad, some sad, some happy. But it's part of life, and I think a lot of people today, we live in a world where social media has taken over a lot of things. So we live I say this, and I don't want people using my stuff now. Don't take this and use this. Public victory, but a lot of people living in private shame. And I just believe that people, if they can get away...
Wait a minute. That's kind of deep there, Corey. Now, I need you to break down a couple layers in that so it don't go over everybody's head. Now, they're going to use that now. It's allowed to be hashtag.
They have no choice but to use it because it reflects and it is an illustration of a lot of people in the social media world. Everybody looks like they got public victory, public fame, but they going home to private shame. And I just think that's one of the things that I always tell myself. Don't be so public that when you get home you feel like you're shameful for what you've lived and what you've done and what you said. So be true to who you are and what you're doing, no matter where you're at in life. So I try to implement that into my everyday life.
Well, Corey, you said something. You know, you've been through some things that wasn't good. We all have. You know, but it's how you recover from those things, from the adversity, from the negative, from the BS. How you recover from that, and don't let that determine who you are. And that way, a lot of times, the things that we go through is to show other people that you can go through those things and still survive and be able to be successful in what you plan to do. You can't let other people determine what your fate is.
You know, one thing I've learned from the levels of success as you go through them, the levels of up and downs in life. What I've learned though, people of our color does not know how to appreciate success. They don't know how to respect it. They don't know how to honor it. We take everything in such a negative view, no matter who the person is. I spend more time trying to tell the person, don't kill the messenger, get the message. Everything someone says good or bad is not going to resonate in your spirit. But don't go to somebody else and try to speak negative against the person that gave the message, because it may help the next person. So when I've discovered about success, the best thing to do is really listen, but don't hear everything. So many people are trying to be successful, but they listen to everything somebody got to say. And most of the people that's speaking to you that haven't been successful, they're speaking from a negative viewpoint. They're trying to stop your dream. I do believe they're dream killers. You know, I like to have fun with a lot of coaches that I coach against, local coaches. We like to talk trash and everything.
Yeah, y'all do.
But the thing about it, what people don't realize, if you don't have confidence in yourself and what you're trying to achieve, it's going to be hard to achieve anything in life. And I was told as a young boy, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Well, Corey, you carry that on in terms of what you do, and in terms of the student athletes and the students that fall under you, and that has been your mantra for a long time. And kind of what you're saying is that I try to tell our guys and the young ladies that we've been a part of our program is that you got to keep negative influences from around you. You can't let them dominate your spirit. And how many times you've seen somebody do something that they knew they shouldn't have done because they let the wrong person influence them and they want to be accepted by the wrong people. Each one of us were raised in a way where your parents told you, if everybody jump off that bridge, you're going to jump off too. We all heard that. But part of growing up and becoming a man and a woman, you got to be able to make your own decisions, not follow the path that everybody else follows. I've had situations, you've had situations. I've had situations where I've had a basketball team and the guy let somebody else borrow his car and they got arrested. And stuff was in the car. And he said, Coach, that wasn't my stuff. But because it was my car, the guys on the team got mad with me because he got arrested. And he said, Coach, I'm just trying to help. He said, that's why I stopped letting people use my stuff, because it puts you in a situation where you get looked at and denigrated because you don't allow them to use it. Then when something happens, it comes back on you because the car in your name.
I do believe in, from my life experiences, I'll just tell you young people what I did, especially ones that have a dream and vision for your life to be something. I never jumped in people's cars when I was young. Mm-hmm. They could have been my boy. When I got old enough to get my own car, if you wrong, you ride with me. Mm-hmm. Cause I'm gonna be responsible for everything in mine. I can't be responsible for everything in your car. Mm-hmm. Being accepted is one thing I've never had a problem with. To this day, I still haven't drunk. I've never smoked. I just don't believe that you have to do things what everybody else do to be in the in crowd. I made myself in the in crowd. I wasn't worried about how cool I was in high school. I was worried about my mom. I was worried about my grandmother. I was trying to forge a life that will last a lifetime and go into generations and generations. The Bible says make a wealth for your kids' kids. Mm-hmm. So, I think a lot of times if we could just stick to the basic premises of what mother and daddy or mother or daddy taught us and really look at things for what they're worth, a lot of kids will stop doing a lot of things they're doing and without thinking about it.
Okay, take your situation that you just spoke of, Corey. You coached a very successful football team last few years, but a lot of your success personally comes to what happened to the guys off the court, off the field. That's what you get more joy from than even the W's, which are important to you because you've always been a molder of men. But how many guys actually are strong enough to walk away from the crowd from doing something wrong? And I think that's what happens. See, we were raised old school, and you had fear of what was going to happen if you disappointed your grandmother or your mother. That was the last thing that look that they gave you hurt more than anything else. Now, there was some time they had to grab a hold of us to make sure we understood exactly what they meant. But today's, that doggone integration wasn't always the best thing to happen to our kids, because now we started raising them different. And as a result, when you were coming along, when I was coming along, you acted a fool in school. They knew before you got home. Your grandma be waiting for you on the porch because somebody called and told her. Stuff has changed now. It's not the same. And parents now want to do behavior modification. If they do that enough times and it's hurting them, they'll stop. That behavior modification in my household meant somebody grabbed you and helped modify your behavior. So you ain't have 4 or 5 times to do it. They won't get with you right off the bat. But today, our culture has changed so much from the way it's been in terms of the discipline and the instruction. And everybody in that village helping to raise that child is different now.
I think that we're in a society where everybody, that's my child, don't touch my child. Don't say nothing to my kid, don't help my kid. And that's why we don't have a village mentality no more in the black race. And I think that is one of the things that really affected the upbringing of our kids. Mothers are much younger today. I think that you see a mother, you see a grandmother, and you see the child, all of them is coexisting in the same club. Mm-hmm. In today's society, it was forbidden for kids to sit around grown people when they was growing up and listen to their conversation. Mm-hmm. You had to go out the door and get in another room, but you didn't sit there.
And you did sit there. I had a Thanksgiving table where all the kids sat at a different table, but go ahead.
Right, and you didn't you didn't get to speak. Now, what you touched on about I care more for the kids, I was told by a high school coach from Leon County, he's no longer coaching in the county. When I first got my first head coaching job, I called him because he had been successful. He had won a state title. I said, Coach, give me one piece of advice that'll help me build a great program. He said, invest in your kids and you'll automatic win. And so as a coach, the X and O's is not my job. That's the job of the assistant coaches. My job is to be a leader. My job is to invest in that child and help mold him, not for Friday night, but for life. And so I spend a lot of time at very low pay to molding kids. And I won't get the benefit here until I see one go off and get married, till I see one go off and get this degree, till I see one become an elected official, till I see one become a lawyer, a doctor. That's when I get my joy. Walking across a high school stage is mandatory for kids when we was growing up. It's done changed now. So I think we spend a lot of times really okaying these kids' behavior in this society. We pacify them. You know, I see more kids that's living at the poverty line wearing Michael Jordans. I have nothing against Michael Jordan. Here's a shoe that costs $200. Like our kids' parents can barely pay their rent, but I see kids come to school with Jordans on, and it's really sad, you know, because we make our kids feel like the most important thing is material things and not education.
Well, I remember from last year when Insights covered the signing at the various high schools. And first of all, congratulations on the number of kids you sent off to school.
Yes.
And 20-something.
21 to be exact.
Okay.
21 to be exact. $1.8 million in free education fees.
You know what I remember most about what you said? You told them, you said, mothers, when they go off to school and want to come home because it's not going like they want to, make them stay in school. Don't let them come home. Don't let them come home. And that just resonated with me because a lot of times we get so caught up with trying to pacify them, give them what they want, and we don't teach them how to deal with hard times. And going to college is no picnic. There's a lot of days in college you hungry as hell.
Even when you're on scholarship.
Even when you're on scholarship.
It's not a picnic.
That's right. That's right.
Because if it ain't the food, you're going to get the food, but the coach is going to be on you. And I think a lot of times our parents don't understand the value of that free education. There's a lot of parents out there that are misled and misunderstood thinking that my son got a 2.8, 3.0 GPA, he can get into a school. No. Florida prepay only works in Florida, number one. But the average kid is borderline 3.7, 25, 26, 27 get on the ACT to get in somebody's university. You know, black or white school, you got to have high standards. I call Florida A&M. Those 2 years working at Florida A&M gave me the greatest experience about how hard it really is to get into college. I call it the Black Harvard of the South. You know, what people, when we try to get a player and they go, no, you can't come in because this right here don't match this. And at most schools, people don't understand that those FCS, those FBS schools, Florida State or Georgia or Alabama, a kid can have a 2.2 and make a 19 on the test. He a 5-star football player. His film say that they get them into school on special admit.
That's right.
But a lot of parents don't realize that the easiest way to go to college for a male high school student is through athletics. Period. Point blank. Now, people love to say how smart their kids are. They play football at Harvard. They play football at Yale. So don't tell me my son is super smart when the people labeled by this country some of the smartest institutions in the world playing football. And we keep talking about concussions. Stop holding your little boy in the house and let him go outside and become a young man.
But a couple things you said I want to comment on. You at a different school than me. We were hungry. And a lot of us that played sports, we didn't get an extra plate. We were on the same meal plan everybody else was on. And we left there hungry. Now, if you knew somebody, you might get an extra, because we all try to talk to the girls. At that time, you had a ticket that gave you a meal. If she didn't want to eat, you try to get her meal ticket so you can get 2 plates. So we had a bunch of times that we were hungry. But getting them in school, like I'll be honest, when I was the women's coach, I could get them in school. Because we worked in a program that we put all those kids in a general studies program, and I helped counsel them, put them where they needed to be, We got them the tutor and everything they needed to get out of school. But what happened was we were actually able, because of relationships, we were able to do things that the average coach at the institution couldn't do. I was a FAMU graduate. If I didn't know them, my parents knew them. We were able to go to those people for whatever the problem was and get them in. So as a result of that, that problem didn't really bother us as much as it did some other kids or some other programs. And a lot of that came from relationships. What I think in the black colleges, you get a chance to know everybody, and because if you have some longevity, you know who to go to get whatever you needed done. Did that always resonate well with people? No, somebody else would get mad because you were able to get a kid in, they couldn't get them in. Or you were able to go to financial aid and get something straight, and they couldn't. But it was all based on knowing people. And I think that was the strength of working at a black college, and especially one that you went to school and played at. So it happened a lot, but we had, I think the relationships between the two schools have gotten better than what it was.
I'm glad you actually touched on the subject about the difference between black college and white college. Mm-hmm. This is the one thing that, it agitates me, and it aggravates me that we have a problem right here systematically with our black folks having a problem that attended FAM or are fans of FAM with Florida State. I don't say this in a negative way. FAMU has been nothing but great to me. Growing up, I was in the summer enrichment programs at Florida A&M. Growing up, I was a Florida A&M fan. But I want people to understand this right here. Most of the negativity about an institution comes from within inside of the institution, from their own people.
Explain.
When a kid say, I ain't got my Pell Grant check, that don't have nothing to do with the white school. At one time, you said something about integration earlier. At one time in history, all the best black players went to black universities. You know what the black institution messed up at? They didn't capitalize on their situation. Football is the greatest revenue and is the greatest sport in the world. The Super Bowl is the most watched event in the world. So that shows you how big football is. Is it our problem that you don't fix your dorms? Is it our problem that you don't overhaul your stadium and fix your locker room? Black people. Now
when you say our problem, what you mean our problem?
When they say the white institution holding us back.
Okay.
If you had the best players coming to you at one time, all you had to do was have a vision. So what the white coaches saw and the white institution saw, they saw, well, they won't fix nothing. They won't get a TV deal. They won't get an apparel deal. So what do our people love? We love things. Why do you think we wear Michael Jordans? When we get a little money, we go buy a Mercedes-Benz. We're not conditioned to look at the long haul. We're conditioned to do the now. We're not conditioned for the future. We're conditioned to see my now, not my being. If historic black universities would have saw they being and not they now, they still would have the best players coming.
There is a modicum of truth to what you're saying. HBCUs did not adjust
to time.
And I won't argue that. And when things started happening, we didn't change with the times. As some of these things started to unfold. There was a time when there was a nearby predominantly white institution that wanted Florida A&M to go up with them. Wanted to give us their plan to do that, to give us their 5-year plan. Their thing was, we're close enough that we're an arch rival school, we don't have to travel, we can do turnaround trips. Nobody knows who we are. This is what they were saying about the president said at that school. Everybody knows who Florida A&M is. We want to be able to go together because we're 90 minutes apart and we can travel. Here, we'll give you the information we have so that you could go with us. Did we do anything with it? No, we did not. But we didn't change. And then when it was obvious that the ship had left the port, all black colleges then, the premier ones tried to change, but it was late. The doors started closing to be able to go through that door at the same time some other
So when we had a stronghold, HBCU had a stronghold on football. When no white schools wouldn't play them. If they did play, they would kill them.
That's
right?
That's
when
right.
they was meeting Coach Jay Gaither on back roads and back hotels where they would have to sneak him in to be clipped by this great coach.
That's right.
So I tell kids this all the time, opportunity, this is how it knock. But most of them are high, they drinking, they on pills, so they don't even hit a knock. Opportunity come again, then it's like this. They can't hear it. The third time it comes, it's like this. So when the opportunity was done knocking loud, we didn't capitalize on it. So now we got the mentality of they cross the street, them down the road, it's still them suppressing us. Now, I believe this in my heart. There are good people on both sides of color. There's bad people on both sides of color.
I agree.
But I do believe this right here. We can't serve a God that we believe in, and we don't have our faith. And you truly, because I've seen all the odds stacked against me and other players that have come out of the same situation with me in worse cities that have made it. Making it, but I do believe this. Making it is a want to and a will. It don't take a lot of skill. But most people want all the skill and don't have the will.
Let me comment on your first knock and why people don't answer. I don't buy that at all. I don't think that's the reason. I have a whole different perception of it. And I don't believe that by being tired or drunk or whatever and don't pay attention to the knock. Mine is a little different. And I think it's almost heresy to be able to put that in terms of our leadership at the time. But our leadership had another problem. The biggest, most important person on HBCU campus
Is the president.
but not then. It was the football coach. Everybody knew the football coach.
Who you think the biggest coach of people is on the white institution right now?
But you're missing the point. Some of the presidents resented that.
Right.
They knew who the FAMU football coach was. They knew who Grambling football coach was. They knew who Southern's football coach was. They knew who Tennessee State's football coach was. But they didn't always know who the president was. It's a reason why you rarely see that type of success in the athletic program again, because you had presidents that resented it. And I think the egos got in the way and held them back. I think that...
So with all that, can you hit a knock? That's the question.
No.
Can you hit a knock?
No, but it's a difference in hearing it because you're doing something you don't have no business doing and because you don't pay attention. Those are two different things.
Right.
But I think that our leaders, as smart as our leadership is, they missed it. They miscalculated it. Because you have been rich and wealthy so long, you never thought that they would continue to put in the rules academically. We all know the story about Alabama and why they started recruiting black athletes.
They got whooped by USC.
Exactly. And they wanted to catch
And let me tell you, I gotta go get me one of them
to catch theirs because we ain't got one.
Exactly.
And so, some schools needed to be in a position. I'm not going to recruit a black athlete, but he going to recruit him. So they came up with, back then, Proposition 48 was the first little academic component they put in it. I have a story on Insights with Dr. Humphreys, and he said they hated him at the NCAA meeting because he fought it because he said what they did was they put a rule in the colleges about education. So if you didn't support it, you weren't academically oriented. So they put it where you almost had to go along with it. And they kept fine-tuning it till they kept limiting opportunities. And so what they did was, I remember I was in compliance at the time, and they said, this rule takes effect in August. I said, fine. Let's get the kids that we signed in June when they graduate from high school. Let's get them in. The rule goes in effect for the fall. Get them in during the summer. They decided, somebody said, well, I don't know if we should do that. So what they do, we called the NCAA office to ask if that was okay. They called it the FAMU amendment to make the rule go back effective in June because we had found a way to circumvent the rule.
Who always telling us?
Oh, each other. We tell each other.
Exactly.
We telling each other.
So, I feel bad because I think the HBCUs would benefit greatly if they just do a facelift and try to go to Division I. You may take your licks, but the revenue from football is so great, it will benefit you in the end. But you have to upgrade facilities. You have to upgrade stadiums. You have to upgrade gyms. You have to upgrade the campus. You got to make dorms. But if you go Division I, there's so much money to it. You see why they come up with this rule, this right here. You notice that the requirements now for kids to get in school is starting to go down.
What is the moved? I thought my dog on screen was falling.
So people don't realize that there's so much money to it because the biggest gangsters in the NCAA.
Yeah.
But the beneficiaries are the college coaches of it. But at the end of the day, we all choose to play sports. Mm-hmm. Sports don't choose us. Mm-hmm. God created us. He gave everyone else a gift. Mm-hmm. My gift was to play football. I think my gift now is to save young people. Mm-hmm. I believe that if we could ever get to the table with a group of people from the HBCU community that would listen and take a blueprint, BLAMU will be as big as Florida State. Because you know why? I coach young boys. Mm-hmm. And I see what these young boys like. Mm-hmm. And you know what they like? Young girls. Yeah, you know what they HBCU schools? Young girls. And that's the biggest proponent they have. Because when we used to play at Florida State, we brought our recruits to Florida A&M. Mm-hmm. To all the parties. This is when they used to let you have parties on campus.
That's right.
But now they don't let you have parties on campus no more like they used to in the old days. Mm-hmm. But you cannot recreate this atmosphere in Tallahassee, Florida. Mm-hmm. You can't have a historic black college, a powerhouse football college, and they within a mile apart, and not both be successful. Mm-hmm. Now we're having some trying times right now at Florida State. We up on the uprise at Florida A&M with Willie Simmons there, but both of them gonna get to a place where they're both successful. Mm-hmm. But real success is when you're able to help multitude of people.
Well, to go along with what you said, when you look at Tennessee State, who got blasted and went to the Ohio Valley, they're standing on their own now. It took them.
And look at their revenue.
Right.
Look at the quality of players they play. Look when they do play. The other black schools now.
That's right.
Look what happened when you play them. You see, all these other black schools don't want to play them no more.
But see, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of truth to what you're saying in that, in terms of doing that. Florida A&M has always been positioned to be able to do it, but there's so many other things that come up in terms of people's perception, people who might get credit, instead of let's do what's best for the school. And if it doesn't work, then we'll try something else. It's real frustrating a lot that when you bring in a lot of people that aren't necessarily from the school that go back with ideas that you tried 10 years ago and didn't work. So you're not going forward, you're going backwards. And the tradition of Florida A&M is outstanding. It's not a school in the state of Florida that you can't go in and find a FAMU graduate that'll help you get a football player. But you got to be smart enough to use those resources.
Now, I travel around the country doing football. I was at Florida A&M for 2 years as a coach. We got kids from California. Mm-hmm. We got kids that come from New York. Mm-hmm. We got kids that come from down south. We got kids that come from Texas. That's to a historic black institution with the amenities that we have now. Mm-hmm. This is not blasting family. It was just happened to be now. We are in a local black school. So I just wish that that black people, and this even from the community I come from, let's stop blaming the white people. Let's stop killing each other. Let's stop talking negative about. Somebody will have something to say about our show because we live this on Facebook.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, don't kill the messenger. Mm-hmm. Get the message. Mm-hmm. The Bible said, God said, I will deal with the messenger if he's wrong. Mm-hmm. And if you around people that have success, somewhere along the line of their conversation, if they've had success, you probably should listen. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if it was business success, athletic success, spiritual success. Listen to them because they know what it takes to be successful. Too many people think winners are created. Winners are born. Now you can learn how to follow winning ways and be successful though.
There's a lot of truth to that comment. I got daughters. Been waiting on my son. They never get that right to get a son. Got a grandson. Just turned 5. Competitive, oh my God. If he loses something, he having a fit. I mean, he's a perfect example of it being born in him. He wants to win at all costs. Now, when he beat you, he got to celebrate. He wanted to jump up and down and act all crazy. Mama and daddy, athletes, smart little kid. But what I said they said, Daddy, we don't know how to handle him and his will to win. I said, leave his will to win alone. I said, as a coach, You want that. You rather take that with the will to win than the one who doesn't want to win and you're trying to put it in him. Because you can't put it in them. They either have it or don't. And you can see it when you watch a kid that gets hurt. You got some of the high tolerance of pain. You know the kid is hurt. But you got to take him out because he ain't going to take himself out because he want to be out there and win. So what you're saying there is true. Now, in terms of Florida A&M and Florida State, it's better than what it was. I see way more people in our community now with Florida State hats on and Florida State paraphernalia than what it has been in the past. I think the schools have worked to try to do some things together. But I've been here through it. I've been through when we've had differences and fights, but the kids themselves work out and play against each other every day.
I bet you can do this right here. Now, I have a little advantage to it because I'm from Tallahassee. I bet you couldn't tell a person that went to school from 90 to basically to whenever I got through playing football. You couldn't tell if I went to Florida State or FAMU when I was younger. I spent just as much time on FAMU campus as I did on Florida State and then taking out one class. But I wasn't a problem maker. I didn't act like I was all that. The problem is that we got to stop seeing people because they somewhere else in life than we are. We got to stop being jealous and envy of them and appreciate that and try to get ourselves to where they at. It doesn't matter where we at. Because there's a very humongous number of people that have come from Florida and them that are successful at HBCUs, that are successful in doing great things in this country. And my whole thing is because I'm big on this black violence because my brother was killed violently, but we have gang violence in the workplace. We just ain't shooting guns, we ain't stabbing each other, but we cutting each other down. We sending emails, we talking about the person next to us, and we smiling in their face. That's gang violence workplace to me. My reason for saying that is because the moment we can get together as people and come to the table first and come into agreements that we're going to stay locked together for success, for the betterment of the next generation, we'll go a long ways.
Let me say this to you. Hashtag C2, because we can't do the and sign. C2 Insights. INSIIGHTS. Send it. We'll discuss some of the things that you send to us on our next week's show. But you also said something people are going to talk about, you and I doing this show and what we talk about. I know for a fact I don't care. And I know that, Corey. I know it. That's why it's CNC, because we both going to speak our opinion. And it doesn't matter who else embraces it or doesn't embrace it.
Send us all y'all questions. We like to answer questions from parents, kids. I don't matter if you're a fan or not a fan. Send us your questions. We'll log them up next week, and we'll try to entertain your questions as best we can with great answers. But one thing you need to know, everything we're doing is from sincerity from our heart to try to help the next generation, because one day Clayton and Corey will be gone.
And Corey speaks for us both in that. It was Corey's idea. I don't try to take credit for something that I didn't do. It was Corey's idea. He didn't even finish it. And I said, Corey, if you want to do that, let's make it happen. And we made this thing happen in less than a week. And we know it's going to grow because there's a number of people who do want to hear the truth. It's our truth. Might not be your truth, but it's our truth. And y'all who know Corey, you know me, we stay on the side of trying to tell the truth.
Because from this, we're going to evolve probably to a scholarship, awards for kids. It just, so much thing can come out of just speaking it. But that's the problem. Don't speak things and don't follow up on it.
And see, that was our time on to let us know that we're getting towards the end of our 30 minutes. We're going to keep working at it. Corey speaks his truth. I speak the truth. We want you to kind of get on that side. It's actually about the kids. It's not about Corey. It's not about me. Both of us have been and accomplished pretty much what we've wanted to in life. And we want to provide opportunities and insights. Corey keeps saying this, and it's very true, to parents and the kids. You know, we want the parents to understand some of the things that are happening so that you understand better why it's happening and so that you're there to support your sons and daughters, not only in sports, but in their journeys and trials and tribulations through life.
Success is not given, it's earned. God bless you. Until next time, Godspeed.
It's CNC. We'll see you next week. Bye. We off?